God, I need that horse armor. I'm down bad for horse armor.
We're entering our flop era.
Shit's bleak out here. All right.
18 plus. Who wants to get milked?
It's kind of quality we have here at Debate This.
I need the edge. I need what the raw, unfiltered internet can bring you.
This is probably only going to be the third or fourth dumbest thing I've said today.
That's for nobody.
Just out there raw dogging the internet.
Way more hog than I expected.
It's about as much hog as I anticipated.
This is going to be one of those episodes, isn't it?
Here comes the cow. Here comes the cow.
All right, let's get this over with so we can play Magic.
Hello and welcome to Debate This, the show where no one is right, but someone is definitely wrong. In this show, we take time out of our busy adult lives to talk about comic books, video games, and how easy it is to make Elon Musk cry, apparently.
Oh, God.
I mean,
baby.
that's not new information. I mean, the man bought Twitter.
No,
That's
reason.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't say it was. We just talked about it. It's one of our discussion topics.
Yeah.
I think the biggest form of professionally crying is spending $43 billion on Twitter.
Yeah,
Oh my
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
I'm not like the biggest like boycott girly, but learning earlier today that Elon Musk's net worth has dropped like $113 billion because of the Tesla boycotts alone.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's pretty good.
Pretty good.
That's pretty great.
Feels good,
Yeah.
man.
So speaking of CEOs who make wildly unpopular decisions, we have talked about Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment's patented
say it without
Nemesis System here on the podcast before.
Have we?
We've brought it up.
It's
It
definitely
feels
been
like we have,
referenced.
yeah.
We haven't it hasn't been a topic of an episode, but we've
It's been mentioned.
It's been
in the
referenced.
lexicon.
Yeah.
Well, and it would be impossible to make a whole topic around a system that's only existed in 2 games.
Is it 2? I thought it was
two.
just the one.
Yeah.
I had to
Yeah.
watch like 3 video book reports on what the hell the Nemesis system is today.
Yeah. So for those like Matt who may not know what we're talking about, the Nemesis system is a game mechanic patented by Warner Brothers, used in 2014's Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor game, and apparently one other game that I don't
sequel.
know.
The sequel,
okay.
Shadows of War.
And the second one.
and the other one.
In Shadow and Shadows of Mordor, is the sequel literally just plural
Yeah,
shadows?
Shadows of War.
Oh,
so
Shadows.
Shadows of
Yeah.
Mordor and Shadows of War.
Great. We're gonna pretend that it's one game because
It
that's
they
might as
are.
well be.
Yeah.
May as well be.
so. In Shadow of Mordor, a mini boss, for all intensive purposes, will be identified as having survived an early skirmish with a player, and then will return in future raids, having learned from that experience and adjusts to your tactic. The simple example Todd gave me is that if you beat this nemesis with fire in one confrontation, it may show back up later with an immunity or a resistance to fire, and it'll have like a scar, a burn scar on it to show time has passed.
And it's got a beard.
And it's got a beard. In these 2 games it was very popular, very well received. Players loved it. So Warner Brothers did what they do best and threw it in a vault, never to use it again.
Yep.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, the lawyers at the DT exclamation points Grifts and Loopholes division are pretty sure that with a few minor adjustments, we can more or less create our own legally distinct version of this system to put in our games for our fans.
No, but real talk though, like I think a grifts and loopholes division is what we need as a society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a Grifts and Loopholes task force that
Yeah.
focuses on closing those.
I
Yeah.
was going to say timeout to create or close.
The
true.
latter. Yeah.
The latter.
Okay.
Investigative arm.
Feels like we already have one of the 2.
Yeah.
And we had that, and it got closed by
Got grifted.
got grifted.
RIP CFPB.
Done got grifted.
It's not great out here, huh?
It's pretty grim.
Pretty grim.
Pretty grim. So, joining me today to pitch their legally distinct from, but not entirely dissimilar Nemesis systems are Matt, Professor X and Magneto Cole, Andrew, Megatron and Optimus Prime Henderson, and Todd, Solid Snake and Liquid Snake, or Solidus Snake, or Venom Snake, or Big Boss Thomas.
What a specific thing.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
sure.
Can I take a guess at what this is?
Sure. Sure.
That's what
Andrew.
I called my balls in high school.
I don't love that. I don't hate it, but I don't love it.
I hope when you edit this, Matt, you make that silence twice as long.
Yeah, man.
Bravo, sir.
Thanks.
So, guys, what game franchise or series are we adding our not dissimilar from, but legally distinct from Warner Brothers Nemesis System 2? And why is this the franchise or series you think will show it off the best? Matt.
Yeah, Kyle, absolutely. I'd love to start us off. Before I do, just an honest question out of the bit. Did either of you guys or any of you guys play Shadows of Mordor, Shadows of War?
No.
Todd did.
Okay, Todd.
Todd played the hell
Can
out of
we
Todd
just-
those games. It's my time.
I want to give you like 30 seconds right now, Todd. Can you just tell me about what the Nemesis system means to
Yeah.
you?
And how is it different than just like AI?
Yeah. So we'll work in reverse. Andrew, barely. Matt,
Warner Brothers patented very specific aspects of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the difference.
Yeah, so Kyle kind of gave one of the prime examples. So like in the Shadows of Mordor series, you fight different generals, lead named NPCs, and you can either, kill them, recruit them, whatever. If you don't kill them, there's a chance they come back. Even if you do kill them, there's a chance they come back. And that's usually the more interesting one. So like say that every villain you fight that's a named villain has resistances already. And so say that you love like sniping things from a distance, that you might snipe a general with like a headshot from a distance. And right before you like go to snipe a new one 2 hours later, suddenly you're ambushed by that same villain. But now it's like so-and-so the hard-headed. And he's got like a metal plate on his head from where you like shot him with an arrow. And now he's immune to headshots. And so the best version of this is two things. One, constant surprises that aren't like so frequent that it's upsetting. But like suddenly a villain that you thought you destroyed a while ago appears to ruin a really dramatic moment, which turns what you thought was going to be a really fun fight into an outnumbered war, which is super cool. But also it keeps you from like cheesing the system. That if you're like, I only fight things by mounting a giant siege beast and stomping into the camp, well, suddenly a bad guy comes back with not just a resistance, but he's enraged when he sees a siege beast.
He's the beast slayer. And
the beast slayer does double damage to beasts. So it is a super, super cool mechanic, which is honestly the best thing that came out of these two games, which makes total sense that it's been locked into the vault with all of Disney's VHS copies of its favorite
It's there
movies.
next to the unreleased Batwoman movie and unreleased Looney Tunes movie.
movie.
Yeah. Well, the reason that I asked, and I'm glad that you said that, is because I watched a couple of video essays today about the Nemesis system, because outside of hearing you guys talk about it, I had no idea what it was. And I'll be honest, the things I learned about it were cool enough and interesting enough to me that I decided I wasn't going to do just a dumb bit answer. Because I had what I thought was a pretty good dumb bit. And I was like, you know what?
What was
This
the
is
pun
actually
that it was
cool.
centered on?
It wasn't even a pun. It was just that, like, I
okay.
thought it'd be fun if you got a Nemesis in Wii Sports. Like, I thought that'd be a fun idea.
That's kind of fun.
I mean, yeah, kind of.
The more I learned about the Nemesis system, and the more I realized that it wasn't just like, oh, they come back with immunities in battle, but that it really affects the storyline. And the way that I kind of put it together after watching a couple of videos is, you've got your games like Until Dawn or Detroit Become Human that have these huge branching story trees based on your decisions. And instead of having a pre-constructed story tree that you move through linearly, the Nemesis system creates a way for you to progress through a story that has ways that it can go, but your decisions impact that, and it changes the beats of the story as opposed to just sending you down a different linear story path. And I thought that was really cool. I thought that was really interesting. And so I spent some time thinking about what games I know and I like that have, I think, strong potential in non-linear and procedurally generated storylines. And in 1997, a game hit shelves that would redefine the landscape of video games. Through 16 games and nearly 30 years of controversy, this series has smashed sales records across generations. And with its long-awaited follow-up to the 12-year-old Grand Theft Auto 5 due out this year, the folks at Rockstar are ready to debut their legally distinct answer to the Warner Brothers Nemesis system for exactly those reasons that we've just discussed, to impact a non-linear storyline and tell it in a procedurally generated way. This is not aiming towards a pun. I think this is really cool, and I'm really excited to talk about it here today.
Yeah, but that's what someone would say who is aiming towards a pun, but is still excited to talk about it.
Now I'm kind of feeling like you're leaning toward a pun.
I am going to scramble really hard to come up with a good pun by the end of this, but I don't have one right now.
I'm bracing the whole time we record this.
I'm clenched.
He's furiously drafting his Grand Theft motto.
Okay.
Good start.
Right, make that silence twice as long too, man.
Great. Like you said, 12 years since Grand Theft Auto 5. We gotta hype up 6 somehow.
It's crazy to me that Grand Theft Auto is 27 years old, and almost 50% of those years have just been Grand Theft Auto 5.
Right.
Because GTA 5, that's still like one of the highest selling games. That is not a current gen game. That is nowhere near a current gen game. Yeah, it's bananas.
Yeah.
Like there's so much content. Like I've never played it. Like not a single time.
Not a single hour.
There's
Nope.
so much content to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 3 best-selling game of all time.
Yeah.
Behind what?
Tetris and Minecraft.
Oh,
God.
To their point, I mean, Red Dead Redemption was like a pretty similar kind of, or Red Dead 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
It has been a similar energy. And I played that for a while. And also, limitless fun is out there in those games with their missions that they put together. Like, I see the appeal to it. Put together a crew and do
fuck around with your friends forever.
But the difference is Red Dead didn't have endless loot boxes to sell you for 12 years.
I've got such terrible news for you, Kyle.
I know it has a loot box system.
How can I get the special pony if I don't give them real money?
You need that horse armor, Todd.
Yeah.
Gotta do that horse armor. I'm down bad for horse armor.
Well, great. Andrew, what game you got?
Kyle, I've got bad news for you. I, unlike Matt, didn't do a lot of research and came with a stupid bit.
Good.
So speaking of really dumb loot boxes and horse armor, I would love to talk about a game originally released in September of 2018. This is Magic the Gathering: Arena.
Andrew, I've never heard of this game. Please.
Yeah, what is this?
Please tell me more about it.
I will for you, Kyle, because everyone else obviously knows about this game and is familiar.
Yeah.
So MTG Arena is a free-to-play game. This game serves as the official Wizards of the Coast sanctioned way to play 1v1 Magic online. That's specifically 1v1 Magic online. Once you create an account, you build your own collection of digital Magic cards. You can begin building decks to compete with other players, yada, yada, yada. Arena offers ranked and unranked matches. You can do draft or sealed, other limited events. There's even tournaments with cash prizes. That was one as recently as like a couple weeks ago. And you can play almost all of the game types: standard, modern, pioneer, the other ones, excluding Magic's most popular game type, which is, of course, Commander.
Okay.
Is there, real quick, out of the pit, because I know you're doing that, is there a reason why you can't play Commander, just because it's too bananas?
They didn't want to build in a way to have multiplayer games.
It's already so hard to code the rules of Magic into a computer program. They have actually changed paper Magic in some ways to make the things easier to code, so because they wanted Arena to be official, and they just have not opened the lid on making more than 2 players work at once.
Oh, it's a lot like PvE and Overwatch.
Yeah.
You just can't do it.
You just
What's
use some of the
common?
resources.
It's common.
Yeah, so is
It's
Commander.
like the dragons
apparently.
in Game of Thrones. It's coming, man.
Yeah.
Much like the Netflix TV adaptation of Magic the Gathering, they have announced that there will be a separate Commander solution, digital Commander solution. But right now, it doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
So people may remember the janky but beloved MTG Online. MTG Online goes back as far as 2002, if you can believe that.
Yeah, it does.
So that was WotC's original way to play online Magic or remote Magic. MTG Online is still a thing. It's just not supported by WotC anymore. But both of these were developed as the way to play Magic without the need to leave your house for sweaty Friday night Magic, which, is a thing.
Given their target audience, a necessity even.
Yeah.
Well, prior to that, you had to take a picture of your board, go get it developed,
send it through the mail,
mail it to a friend.
Yeah, send the Polaroid to a friend.
Who they would mail back what they did in response.
Yep, exactly. Well said, Todd. So I've described Arena before as the equivalent of that thing when you're really hungry late at night and nothing is opened and you also have no food, so you just microwave like an old tortilla with some shredded cheese and some hot sauce. Look, it's food and it's gonna satiate you in some way, but fuck, is that like the worst way to do it? Arena is objectively most unabashedly Magic. It is Magic in all sense of the words, but due to the digital nature and the absolute availability of virtually every card out there for a nominal fee, it just creates this level of min-maxing and specifically min-maxing to a meta that you don't see anywhere near in paper Magic. Now, fortunately, thanks to the Grift and Loopholes division, we have an answer to fix this meta dynamic in the form of the Nemesis system.
Oh, okay. I like it. Yeah, you are absolutely right. So anytime you gamify something, you got to have your dailies and everything.
Yeah.
You will inevitably develop a metagame. And there is no way in Arena to find someone else to play with the stipulation of, this is my deck where it only has art where people are getting bonked in the head.
Yeah, there's no joke.
Please use your similarly funny deck. There's no way to do that. So everything all the time is the meat grinder.
It's the meat grinder. It is. I mean, the best thing Arena has going for it is that you can play Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
And the worst thing it has going for it is Magic the Gathering Arena.
Yeah.
It's everything else about it.
Yeah, great. I'm interested. I want to see. I want this problem fixed. I want to see how you plan to fix it, and I'll wait patiently for that answer, Andrew. Todd, tell us about what game you want to nemify.
Yeah, man, I'm doing my best to not pluralize or change the word nemesis today.
Okay.
It's best not to even try. I think whatever you guess is going to end up being wrong.
I'm pretty sure it's Nemesis.
Yeah, I'm almost
that
certain it's
feels right.
Nemesis.
Yeah.
Nemesises.
What happens when you
They're both
have
right.
given
They're
the
both correct.
nemesis treatment to a thing?
Yeah.
You get Nemmy with it.
Yeah, man. I think that's right. So Andrew chose Magic the Gathering, and I didn't choose Pokemon, but I did pick your third favorite property, and that is 2008 Maxis's Spore game. I knew how much you loved Spore from 2008.
My God.
Kyle won't stop talking about 2008 Maxis's Spore game.
It's amazing it has never come up on the podcast before because, Todd, you nailed it. I'm such a Spore head. That's what we call ourselves. Consumed my life.
Yeah, Kyle, big fan of Will Wright, creator of Spore,
Yeah.
2008's Spore. So if you remember Spore, the promise was, first off, did anyone here play Spore?
No.
Absolutely not.
No, I had a friend who was really into the hype for Spore.
Yeah, man,
That was sorely let down by the release of Spore.
Yeah, he was. The most
I've watched
exposure I had is Polygons.
I was gonna say I've watched the Monster Factory episode about 17 times, but that's it.
Yeah. So for those uninitiated, Spore, the promise was in 2008, limitless planets, options, species, evolutions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And like the whole thing was you start as a spore, like a single cell microbe that you like evolve up to a full alien civilization with interplanetary travel. It was enjoyed by people that played it, and it was even featured, as Andrew just said, a Monster Factory episode where they made a godless abomination known only as Jom, who Jom had a backpack where they kept their applesauce, which was a fun clip from that short. Everyone should watch. To be clear, the promises Maxis made were technically accurate. They, promised planets, they promised stages of evolution, but they were technically accurate in the same way that Borderlands promised to have over 1 billion different guns. Like, technically true by the letter of the law, but certainly not the spirit of the law. And so to paint the full picture here, In Spore, you start out as a little microbe, absorbing smaller microbes and avoiding microbes of your similar size or larger, and then you evolve into a sloppy, sweaty fishman. And the thing is, every time you evolve, you change your traits. You can get extra fins, get bigger teeth, yada, yada, yada.
Sure.
And that impacts the world around you, most specifically because it changes the way you move. So if you have a bunch of big flippers, the character will move correctly. If you have one large, unusable tail, the game will try its best.
Oh,
It'll
really?
try its best to make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll thrash around and might move in a direction, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. It's all just really dependent on how illogical and phallic you make your limbs. Because let's just be real, like that's what people are doing. And you rinse and repeat that until you truly do build a civilization, intergalactic travel, yada, yada, yada. This whole time, though, other species are evolving alongside you, but for the most part, they just kind of exist as NPCs on the periphery that you use for fuel to like journey towards your evolutionary perfection. Like there's not really a lot of like flair to what's going on around you other than consume thing, continue to grow. With some like really intentional tweaking in how the world around you evolves, more tuned into like the decisions that you make, I think we can take Spore from this fun game about making silly character designs into a true multi-stage epic that actually mimics an evolving world around you that takes place over millions of years. To underline this, I almost made a joke, and I'm in the same camp as Matt, that I think I made a thing that's good. I think I made a thing that's good, and I'm kind of excited to talk about how good this can be. Will Wright, who listens to our podcast, he's going to love this.
Yeah. I hope he hears this and implements them all in Spore 2, which hasn't come out yet.
No, certainly couldn't have. Not enough people played Spore 1.
I think a lot of people bought Spore 1 and then immediately threw it in the trash.
Well, and like out of the bit, and we can maybe talk about it in the post show, it was hyped up huge.
Yeah.
And it just didn't deliver.
It fell into the trap of like, our imaginations got way wilder than what was promised. And everyone was expecting like, oh, you make this evolutionary decision early on, and you can see it extrapolate out by the time you hit the hominid stage of evolution or whatever.
It fell into the same trap as like Fable and Mass Effect.
Yeah.
The problem is there were a finite number of ways that extrapolates out, and once you see how the leg mutation interacts with the tail mutation, you get it. You get what's going to happen, and there's only 128 variations of thing.
I would argue, Kyle, just like No Man's Sky after it and Fable before it, like those are all the result of an auteur director being like literally saying you can do anything. When you say that in a press conference, people are going to take you literally.
Right. I certainly don't want to take the blame off of like the promotion, because the promotion did say infinite, you can do anything, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
We in 2008
believed it.
Yeah. The simpler times.
I mean, we had hope.
It's very Elizabeth
and
Holmesian,
change,
and that's a real trend of 2008 video games, I think.
Yeah.
Don't tie what I said to any of the things that we just said, because I'm doing a cool thing.
You're doing a cool.
Everything we're talking about was disappointing and bad.
We fixed it. We
fixed it.
We fixed it. This is all great, guys. We've got 3 games that I think I legitimately want to see come to light and play. So Rockstar, WotC, and Maxis. Get
I
at
think
us.
it's just EA now. I don't think Maxis exists anymore.
Who's to say?
Okay.
I bought the rights.
Yeah.
It's EA. I made it that.
So moving on, tell us, as these companies implement these ideas, tell us how your Nemesis system is different than Warner Brothers, so that we don't get sued, and so we have something like to sell beyond, hey, we copied and pasted Warner Brothers Nemesis system into this game. So Matt, tell us about the changes you've made to the Nemesis system for, I think I'm just going to call it GTA Nemesis for now.
Yeah, you can go with that for now. You'll have a name by the end of the response. Look, let's be clear. We are not copying the Nemesis system. That
No,
would be
of
illegal,
course not.
and certainly not what we're doing here.
Yeah.
We have taken some inspiration from video games before us, and it's important to acknowledge what we've learned by the mistakes of others, but we're not copying anything here. Now, with GTA 6, we are going to be introducing players to what we like to call our pain in my ass system. We wanted to make sure that we did really keep with the attitude of Grand Theft Auto games that people have come to know and love, games like GTA 5 and GTA 5, and also, of course, smash success GTA 5. So the pain in my ass system will start very early in the player's career. See, Grand Theft Auto actually has multitudes of sprawling narratives across each of its games. Does anybody really remember what any of the larger narratives is? No. But what it's really about, what?
Yes.
You're lying.
I remember.
You just remember Cousin, that's all.
Yeah.
I remember Cousin.
Cousin want to go bowling, yeah.
Cousin wants to go bowling. Yep.
Early on, you rescue a kid using a fire truck in the ladder. Like, I remember that.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Nobody remembers that GTA San Andreas had you selling crack cocaine shaped as strawberry lollipops. That's nothing that anybody ever remembers.
I did actually forget that.
Anyway, what Grand Theft Auto is really about is climbing the ranks of organized crime in the streets of insert city name here. And, we haven't totally decided where Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be located. So we are going to keep that insert city name here, there until we have a city name to insert. But as you progress through that ladder of organized street crime, well, you're going to have to step on others on the way up. And very early in your journey into organized street crime, you're going to be tasked with something simple. You need to go out there and you got to steal us a car. It's Grand Theft Auto, baby. It's the name of the game. Go get yourself a car. Now, when you run out onto the streets of insert city name here, you'll be seen with tons of options. Maybe you go up and knock on the window of somebody at a street light. You pull them out, you punch them in the face, you steal their car. Maybe you go to a parking garage, you find a really fancy looking convertible, you break into it, you hotwire it, you steal the car. Depending on the owner of the car that you steal, it's going to create your pain in my ass. And that person is going to remain as a pain in your ass through the remainder of your time in organized street crime. Hey, did you steal a nice convertible out of a parking garage? Bad news, buddy. You pissed off somebody who just got out of law school and they got a lot of daddy's money. And every time you end up in jail, they're going to make sure to keep you in there as long as possible. You're going to end up with even more significant penalties when you are arrested and captured. Maybe you were out on the street. Maybe you saw somebody in a junker. You pulled him out at a street light and you tossed him to the side. Little did you know that guy's brother is actually the best boxer in the state. And now he's looking for your ass. And every time you bust in to try and hold up a gym somewhere across the city, you got to be sure that this guy's brother, Steve, isn't in there waiting to be a pain in your ass by kicking your ass. Throughout your rise of organized crime in the streets of insert city name here, you will have a pain in the ass that you created. And the way that you engage with them and interact with them and the way that you take your organized crime is going to dictate how they rise through their own personal ranks to be a pain in your ass.
It's really good, Matt.
I know.
I wanted an acronym, and I'm like, Pima?
Pia.
Pia?
Pia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, the pain in my ass system by Rockstar. And definitely not Warner.
Matt, are you spelling
ass?
Are you spelling ass differently so we get that?
Where's the H and the Y?
Affectation.
I don't think it's spelled differently. I think it's just always in that pink Rockstar font. Like
Okay.
if it's in, if it's
And then
in
it's
the pink
understood.
Rockstar font, you know.
You know. It's got a little mustard on it. Yeah.
My answer would have been AHYS, but I get it.
Yeah.
All right. Great. I'm so happy. I'm so glad we're doing this. Andrew, tell us about Magic the Gathering Nemesis.
Yeah. So, Kyle, anyone who's been on the receiving end of a pumped up Boros mouse with monstrous rage knows that there is a very clear and present meta when it comes to what Magic decks win in Standard. It doesn't matter how good your hand is or how many tricks you have. There just aren't a lot of answers for getting lethal damage to the fucking face on turn 2. Or having to trash your entire hand for the 100th time because literally every deck with black runs Force Discard and Shieldred the Apocalypse. And you can tell by mine and Kyle's pained expression that the meta, that is the meta, right? The number one deck in any Magic lookup is Boros Mice or mono red aggro or mono red Monastery Swift Spirit plus Mice. Like,
especially if you're not doing best of 3. If you're on best of 1, it's what deck finishes games the fastest.
Exactly.
As you're describing this, the pain in Kyle's face, like just sheer exhaustion.
Yeah.
Maybe I speak for Matt here. I have no interest in playing.
No, it's if you want to suck all the fun out of a game that you really like.
Oh, well, in that case.
Yeah.
So, and this is, I log in every day, do my dailies.
Yep.
So the meta, and I think it all comes, yeah.
Matt nodded an agreement when you said that part.
Yeah.
And Matt's going to nod in agreement to this because it comes back to the meta. I realize like that is like a nothing term for people who are in multiplayer game circles, but like it's this thing that persists in pretty much every multiplayer game. It's the thing that gets Matt coming back to Overwatch time and time again. But it's also the thing that I personally hate the most about any multiplayer game. Like playing an MMO, like a Warcraft or an FF14. Like, I want to play the thing that I want to play. I don't want to play the thing because it's at the top of a ranked list. Like, I am not a competitive person. I don't care about rankings. I just want to like do the thing that I like, right? And I get that not everyone is like that. That is the thing that does the most to suck all of the fun out of a competitive game.
What's not being said too is like every multiplayer game has a meta game to it. Your 4 friends playing GoldenEye together have a metagame built into that where you know if Matt picks picks Odd Job with the Desert Eagle, you've got
he's not our friend anymore.
You've got to team up against him to make sure he doesn't just sweep. That is also a metagame.
Yeah, you can metagame anything. It's the idea of like taking the min-maxing and taking the fun out of it to win.
Where the problem here comes in is when you have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of players, that metagame is going to smooth out to the most efficient strategies rise to the top. And you've got to account for that. And if you just want to slap some digital cardboard down, you can't do that. You can't. Yeah, you can't just like
get fucked. Or you can open your wallet and buy some more mono red aggro decks. So after some long discussions with the incredibly open-minded and definitely not at all money-hungry executives at Wizards of the Coast, I'm happy to announce the rollout of the Arch Enemy system, coming soon to Magic the Gathering Arena. Now, Arch Enemy has been designed with the intent of dismantling the idea of a meta or a winningist type of deck by dissuading players from resorting to the same old tricks time and time again. Instead of powering up AI bosses, we're going to power up actual players to mitigate the effects of certain repeated strategies over the course of time so that everybody will have to think on their feet and approach the game in a unique way.
Okay.
What a novel idea for a card game.
Wow,
right?
To
think
play
in a
the
different
game.
way.
You have to play the game. Yeah. All right. Todd, tell us about the Nemesis system you're putting into Spore, the legally distinct from Nemesis.
It is legally distinct. It's
Nemesis
very
system.
different. Actually, it's fairly different. So starting at the microscopic level in Spore, all of those similar sized microbes, both a little bit bigger, smaller, same, are all seated and distinct from you. So, I mean, you're all goopy little blobmen, but you're different goopy little blobmen. And many of those things are going to run parallel throughout your specific experience. So every playthrough is different. Their evolutionary tracks will mirror that of your own and reflect just key decisions that you make that I'll get into later, some of those specifics. But yes, the original system would show other species evolving in a random seed around you. in the same way that if you gave your creature 4 legs, you'd see some other NPCs that might have 4 legs, and however you want to build your creature to be an affront against God and man, the NPCs would somewhat reflect that. But now those evolutionary changes will happen in response to some of your best or specific decisions. So more specifically, the Spore Nemesis system will show itself with those very first microbes that you consume. So each time you defeat some form of prey, especially if you pick on a specific kind of microbe in this example in your first evolutionary step, they may make a change that gets reflected in their next evolutionary stage that helps them keep away from you, avoid you, fight you. No longer will a nemesis be picked because they got that arrow in the head and now they come back as Orkai, the steel-headed, But instead, it's going to be based upon a revolution or an evolutionary choice that you've taken. If you're building your creature to get faster, well, they're going to respond to that. Or if you're specifically preying on one specific microbe, the next iteration is gonna respond to that, which I want to save some of that for the next one.
Sure.
But what I will tell you is we've got a great name. And the Spore Nemesis game is going to be called Spore Revolution. And the kicker is the R is lowercase, but the E is capital. Revolution. Yeah.
I don't think anyone's ever done that before, Todd. That's
probably not.
Very clever. And
Definitely not the juice bar across from my house.
No. No, it's all new. No one's ever done it. And to be clear, this is legally distinct. No one's getting sued. No one's getting sued here.
Great. Yeah. That's awesome. We've cleared up all the legal issues around it. We created our own distinct systems here.
Spotless approach.
We have attached these to some popular games that people are totally remember and will want to buy with this new system in it. Tell me how this is going to play out. How will your quote unquote nemesis, archenemy, evolution, whatever, be chosen? Tell me about those first couple encounters, or what the end game of this nemesis is going to look like. What's their final form look like after an entire game of losing to you? How does that come out through the game? Matt?
Yeah, Kyle, like I said, we are starting at the very beginning. Your opening mission when you first fly into whatever city this is going to be in, insert city name here, you will be tasked via email from a shady source that you've only met via the internet twice. You're going to be instructed, go out there and steal a car. Now, the gates open and you've got an open world in front of you. You walk out of the cave, stand on a cliff, and see the entire world before you. From where you are, you can see all of insert city name here. And it is up to you to decide how you want to define yourself. What sort of car, what sort of vehicle are you looking to begin with? Maybe it's a car from the parking garage, or maybe you see out in the field, well, there's a pretty nice looking work truck that nobody's using, and I think I want something with a little more off-road potential. Or, hey, right outside, I do see there's a pretty slamming Harley. Maybe I'm going to take that motorcycle and lay back and enjoy the sunshine. You've got plenty of options, and whatever car you choose, that will establish your nemesis based on the owner of that vehicle. What's interesting is that means maybe you don't even meet your nemesis at the beginning of the game, right? Perhaps you steal a car and don't know that it is the vehicle of a local politician. Well, now that local politician's vehicle has been stolen, he is running on a campaign to clean up organized street crime, and the penalties for stealing vehicles go through the roof. Or maybe you do meet that nemesis in that first encounter. Yeah, that squirrely guy you pulled out of his 98 Honda Accord and drove off into the sunset. You had no idea, but he grabbed a picture of your face. He's actually a local radio DJ, and now all over TikTok, he's talking about how much of an asshole you are. Now, tons of problems can come and go as you progress through organized crime and insert city name here. And it all leads up to, of course, what everybody cares about Grand Theft Auto for, drugs, money, and guns. That's the big goal here. You're trying to have the most drugs, money, and guns.
Question mark.
You're trying to have the most.
I
think
Yeah,
that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah, I think you. I love that you've taken a game that like the whole premise is like you can literally do whatever you want without any repercussions, and you're saying, but what if we added consequences?
What if we added repercussions?
Just one singular repercussion to one singular action and played that out.
One person whose day you really ruined.
Exactly. Yeah. And that person is going to be a pain in your ass.
But those 50 people you gunned down, that's fine.
No big deal. Not a big deal at all. So the end game, of course, is to have the most drugs, money, gun. I don't know. It depends. It's like the color of the flags in Mass Effect 3. It depends on your choices. So the whole idea is that
He's just reiterating a bit that we've done.
Sloppily.
Yeah.
at the end of the game, your goal is to load your drugs, money, guns onto a boat and drive off into international waters where, of course, you can utilize those drugs, money, guns in whatever they do in international waters. That's the end of the story mode, and also not that different from the end of most campaigns in all the other Grand Theft Auto games.
It's once you enter international waters, you can then leave international waters, and all of the gains you have gotten from crime are washed clean. That's what money laundering is. I don't know if you guys know that.
Waters work. That you once you cross into international waters, police go, oh man,
Ah,
you can come back and you're fine.
Yeah, exactly. That's the goal, right? And in that final mission, depending on the nemesis, the pain in your ass that you bore at the beginning of this game will depend on where you run into issues trying to get onto the dock. Did you know that the guy whose vehicle you stole got out of the radio industry, started working physical labor at the docks, and now he's the union president? Oh no, you're going to get off the dock without fighting every sailor in the union on the shores of insert city name here? No, you actually pissed off a lawyer at the beginning when you stole that Corvette. And bad news, now he's the DA.
He left law, got into shipping
receiving. Yeah, no. And he is now the DA, and he is sending all of the city's police force after you. There are tons of ways that this can evolve, all to try and stop you from getting your most drugs, money, guns onto your boat in insert city name here to drive off to international waters. End of game.
Matt, I really like this. It did sound like you were setting up, no matter who you piss off at the beginning, the end game is always they quit their job, became a dock worker, and worked their way up the ranks to just like turn the dock workers against you.
I kind of like that. Like, there's something pretty good about that.
Like the path like blossoms out into all these different interpretations, and then comes back to a point of they all end the same exact way, fighting dock workers. But
I just think about like as an experience as a player, especially when you're doing something like Grand Theft Auto, the act of like stealing a car for the first time, it's literally pressing a button. One,
yeah, you don't even think about it.
Two, like I can't imagine in any way that I'm at the last mission and like I'm gonna see that it's like I'm the guy that you saw. I'm like, what? Like what? I've never once thought about you. Like, what are you talking about?
That's also a good way that this plays out. Like, you steal that car, and the only time it happens in the game, the camera like lingers on the guy you like ripped out of the carjacking. You're like, oh, that was weird. And then you don't see anything until the end of the game. And it's that guy again.
40 hours later.
There's a version of this, I think it's in The Force Unleashed, maybe, or whatever the new Jedi one was, where like
Jedi Academy, I think.
Maybe that's
the Dark Souls one. Is that what you're talking about?
There's like a stormtrooper guard that shows up. It's like Phil, the technician, and a health bar shows up across the screen, and he's literally just another NPC that you attack once and he instantly dies. Like, it's the same energy as like John, who has a car dealership, and you took his show model, and now he's going to get fired, and that's going to change the
his wife took the kids
forever.
Ever since then, and he's completely like turned his life around to You
guys get it.
No, 100%.
I I can't dump praise on too early. So Andrew, go ahead.
Sure.
Absolutely fair.
Real quick, I do want to say drug, money, and guns is just sweatier live, laugh, love.
Yeah.
It's the male live, laugh, love. It's the toxic male live, laugh, love. Yeah.
I do really like drugs, money, guns in the live, laugh, love spot. I think that's pretty fun.
That's what they have at the Tate compound.
Oh.
So speaking of things that are a bummer, so
back to Magic the Gathering Arena.
Back to the Magic the Gathering Arena.
Favorite segue in the podcast is speaking of things that are a bummer, and then he says a thing.
So put yourself in the mindset of somebody playing Magic the Gathering Arena.
I would never.
You've just lost your 7th game in a row to double strike damage from that fucking manifold mouse. After the loss, a prompt comes up and says, "You have been designated as an archenemy." But what that means is now you can choose to start your next game with a card that will let you destroy a red creature one time for free. It's just a card that lives outside of your deck, and you can zap one red creature. Here's another example. Sick of constantly having to discard your hand because of that fucking bat that takes all your shit? You know the one. You have been designated as an archenemy. Now you start with an enchantment that says you are immune to discard effects from black creatures.
Okay.
Now, to flip the perspective a bit, there's going to be an experience for the other player as well. Let's say you did what I did. You watched a couple of YouTube videos and you saw a deck list that was guaranteed to go from bronze to platinum in under a month. You are adamant on not giving real world money to WotC. So you spent whatever wild cards you had on this one singular deck list, hoping that it could help you grind out your dailies and that sweet, sweet in-game currency. After the 4th or 5th win running that same 3-card combo, you get a prompt saying, "You have made an archenemy." Now, you go into your next match and you're told, if you beat this archenemy, you can get twice the rewards and XP on the battle pass by taking them out. But what that means is they're going to have some sort of protection against your go-to 3-card combo. So you better figure out how to play your deck differently in order to beat this challenge. Now, beating archenemies will inevitably become, a trophy of its own right? Like, in addition to those increased rewards, you'll get cosmetics and other stuff that you can, there's all kinds of cosmetics and little like mini trophies you can add to the game.
Yeah.
And just to go back to like the quote unquote, the losers side of things, that perspective, right? Like, yeah, it's going to feel very similar to getting the big bullet or the blue shell in Mario Kart. That's kind of what it is. It's, giving you a little bit of an advantage to get you back in the game, to jettison you up so you don't feel like you're just getting completely consistently whomped on, because you also can't earn stuff to get new cards unless you're winning some games, right? So you either grind out some matches, beat some archenemies, learn different ways to play your deck, or you become the archenemy and learn a couple more strategies so that you yourself can eventually become the archenemy. You yourself can learn more strategies that aren't just play up the beanstalk 3 times and put up creatures from your graveyard. I'm not kidding you. Right before we logged on today, I was playing Magic the Gathering Arena to do my dailies. 3 out of the 4 matches that I did, 3 out of the 4 matches were 2 up to the beanstalk, into up the beanstalk, into self-mill, into Hulkbuster Swarm, into that other one that gives you like 11, 12, like gives your creatures 11, 12 or whatever. Like it was literally the same deck, like the same deck 3 times out of 4. Like,
oh yeah,
guys, come on. That's 1v1 Magic Arena. So, okay. Now we talked a little bit about multiplayer in Arena, how that's not a thing. This is where archenemy mode can really come into play. We know that it's like, again, making a digital version of Commander is not great because the most crucial part of Commander is the social aspect, right? That's a huge component of the game. It's designed to be that way. Losing that would be not the same, which is, I think, like why there is like, I think that's the argument against why they don't spend the resources to develop it. So we have something called archenemy already. It's fine, but this is a great opportunity. It is certainly a way to play Magic the Gathering. So this is a way to build in a multiplayer structure in Arena that becomes a fully asymmetrical game type, pitting 3 people against 1. Now, the 1 in Paper Magic, it's just like a revolving set of like cards that, things that give you extra resources. But we've developed this system already. The arch enemy system will arm the 1 person, the arch enemy, with specific tools and counters to go against the decks of the other 3. So it will be up to the team of 3, again, to outwit the archenemy and try to think about what are the ways that they can kind of confuse them, kind of help them, get them to not see them coming, so that they can overcome this obstacle. Team chat is open, team comms are open, right? Like, we want full collusion here between the 3, and then the 1. There's no comms, you're just playing by yourself. You can queue in for either side, right? Like, all you need is a working microphone or a working audio source. But again, it just gives people a little bit different way to think differently and approach the game without just playing up the beanstalk 6 fucking times.
This just sounds like something that has hit you so personally hard that, like, before Kyle even gave us this prompt couple days ago, that Andrew has just been stewing over how to like get after people that overly tune their Magic
I will neither
Online.
Confirm nor deny these claims.
Todd, what has this show been for the last 8 years, if not a space for us to air our personal grievances against various comic books and video games?
Yeah.
Well said.
Andrew, that's really great. This is all.
Thanks, man.
I gotta save it for the post show. Todd.
Yeah.
Tell us how the revolution system plays out here.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you remember the very catchy specific branding of that name.
Yeah.
So the Nemesis system is going to show the revolution system.
Thank you.
Show itself in some small ways at first. So I kind of alluded to it a bit in the second question, but minor increases in reaction times of other species you've hunted. If you've like been hunting things very fast, maybe they get a little bit quicker to dodge you. Maybe they gain camouflage, etc. But those changes, those like little things at the early stages of evolution, ratchet up in each stage of evolution as your own species change. So did you evolve your species to, be more quick in ground-based pursuit of your prey? Well, if you keep attacking the same prey over and over again, generation by generation, maybe that species develops a very brief flight speed to get off the ground, get away from you, so you can't hunt it nearly as easily. Have you been stalking your prey for attacks? Okay, so maybe the next evolutionary step for a species is armadillo-like plating all over their back so they can't be attacked from behind. These reactionary things that make it a little bit harder for you to keep doing that same bit that you've built over and over and over again. Have you been a pack hunter species? Because that's a thing you can do. Like you get your species friends of however many legs you've decided to put on your abomination, and they travel in a pack. And if you're a pack hunting species, maybe a competing species has favored sheer brute in their evolutionary traits, so now they travel in big, beefy packs as well. A bank of counter traits will be available that they just exist in a pool that match with the player's choices that they make and are randomly selected based upon your frequency of attacking that specific species. So, like, if you're all about picking on one species, they will become your true nemesis because they will evolve in kind of a countermeasure of whatever you're trying to do. In short here, your chances of developing a persistent nemesis increase with each repeated interaction with that species. And so before you know it, the goopy microbe you preyed upon over and over and over again in your first step of the evolutionary process, because you were significantly faster than they were, will now have become a fully realized alien civilization staging siege engines just outside of your capital city that target your vehicle hangars, leaving you slow and defenseless, all because you've picked on them for millions of years of evolution. The seed of conflict sown millions of years ago gets reaped right before your eyes as you play this game. And now, what's important here, too, is that, like, species evolve around you. And not all of them end up hostile because you don't attack everything. You don't hunt everything. The microbes that existed alongside of you that you didn't choose to fight could evolve into strong alliances using that same system. So if you've built this like symbiotic relationship with another species, maybe they become whatever the counter of Nemesis is, an ally. And that was something that was missing in the original Nemesis system. Like, you could recruit orcs or whatever, but you didn't get to
but
do
not
this.
special orcs that also grew
that
and
evolved with you.
Yeah.
And so using the same system, it could identify strategic areas that work against you. So if you decide to work along other species throughout your evolution, they can grow to cover your weak spots. So if you build that symbiotic partnership, maybe the alien race that works as a lookout in your very primitive stages of evolution becomes a fully realized commerce partner, exchanging intel on the forthcoming alien attacks as a manner of trade later down the year, millions of years into the future, when your goopy, too many legged phallic spaceman is now an intergalactic spacefarer. Which, again, all of that is real. Like, you could do that already. But this is the cool stuff that could be added in.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to make a monster with 12 legs and no mouth, though it wishes to scream, you can do that.
You can do that. We've also added generational racism to give you something to fight against.
Yeah, there you go.
That's great, Todd. I don't know that anyone has codified general racism into a game in quite the same way. And
I don't love that that's how you're describing what I just poured my heart into, but I also won't stop you. However, Kyle, however you want to play the game.
If I was wrong, if I'm wrong, Todd, tell me. I'll change. But tell me where I'm wrong before I do.
Normally, when video game characters are rising against their oppressors, you are the one who is rising, not doing the oppressor.
The oppressor.
Okay,
but,
yes. But also, in a game about evolution, which, like, there's obviously tons of them, you have to consume. Evolution favors whoever consumes the most the fastest, which is a terrible metaphor for capitalism. And if you play this game to
Speaking of Elon Musk crying, yikes.
If you play this game to be evil, and you're like, those goop men should be erased from civilization. I can't stop you, but you shouldn't.
I just really like how my dumb joke kind of put Todd on his back foot more than he wanted to be.
You're trying to make spacemen with too many legs in intergalactic commerce. Why would you take this from me?
I just want to make weird creatures with too many legs that look vaguely phallic, Kyle. Leave me alone.
I did, listeners and patrons that get access to the notes, I did put the link to the Polygon. It's got a freaking hilarious name. They recreate a sequel to Dogs, is what they call it, I think. Creating the sequel to Dogs in Spore. Kind of a required watch for anyone who really wants to get the full Spore experience. How it's meant to be played.
Watch this video and you'll
experience.
Watch this video and you'll get Spore. Like, you'll get the same Spore experience as anyone who's actually played the game.
Experience. I'm telling you.
Experience.
Outside of the answer, I know Andrew's watched it. Kyle or Matt, have you watched this YouTube video?
I've not.
I think I've seen.
You should.
I don't know.
Really
I don't think I've seen this one. I know it's
as much of a Sporehead you are, Kyle.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I know you've got the camera blur on, but I know you have your Will Wright poster in the background, so I'm surprised.
I didn't want to be hurt. I was worried they were going to take too many jabs and
fair.
and goofs at my favorite game, but on your recommendation, Todd, I'll watch it when we're done.
But yeah, everyone should watch that, and I'm actually going to put it in our Discord without context when we're done with this.
Good. Excellent. Great. These are all fantastic game ideas, guys. We're really excited. We can't wait to get started on one of them. Unfortunately, we got some bad news from the head of the Grifts and Loopholes division, and that is Warner Brothers has realized that declaring underperforming assets as a loss and putting them in a vault isn't the financial hack that they assumed it would be.
Whoa.
So now
beans.
So now they're aggressively protecting the patent of their Nemesis system. So when we come back from the break, we need you guys to hastily reskin the game you pitched us today with a WB property. Tell us about that new game and maybe where some of the seams from this hasty paint job shine through when we come back. All right, we're back. gentlemen, game designers, like I said, Warner Brothers they are now aggressively protecting their patent. We need you to reskin your game into a WB property. So, Matt, what WB property are you putting over GTA Spore?
No, Spore is Todd's thing. This is not a Spore thing.
Feels right.
No, it's not a Spore thing. Yeah, easy. So we checked. We were looking for other IP that we felt like lined up well with the story that we were trying to tell. That, of course, being,
guns, drugs, money.
Drugs, and money.
Gun, drug, money. Yeah.
A boat, maybe some union labor, possibly a lawyer. And we were having a hard time finding something that lined up. So we've come to a great compromise. We actually just toned down the graphics a little bit, and we needed a place for GTA 6 to be set. And we decided we might as well set it in Bricksburg. And now we're doing Grand Theft Lego. It's a Lego game, everybody. Gather up your Lego guns, which they already exist. They're in the Lego Star Wars game. Your Lego drugs, those are just the little one-dot Legos that you collect as collectibles. Yeah. And your Lego money. I'm sure they have a currency in those games. I've never played one, but I believe that it exists. Yeah,
bricks?
Probably bricks.
Yeah.
Feels like it's bricks.
Yeah, there you go. We have everything we need in Bricksburg to do Grand Theft Auto, and we can keep the pain in my ass system wholly and completely intact. It will just now be the pain in our bricks system, totally family friendly and super WB approved. And truly, the line between Lego games and Grand Theft Auto is pretty blurry, if we're being completely honest.
If we're being real.
The scene that gets me is the music. Everything is awesome. You're driving a tank mowing cars.
It's really good.
And as you hit cars, they explode and like the Lego pieces fly everywhere.
Yeah.
I like all that. I also like the smurfification of the word bricks for everything in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great. Excellent. Fantastic. Andrew.
Okay, Matt took mine, so I'm just gonna walk you through a different option.
I love that.
Yeah, so it's fine. So everybody knows that anyone who plays Magic knows that Magic has, in the last couple of years, as a result of Universes Beyond, has become a collection of other IP.
It's become a Fortnite.
It's got Fortniteification.
Fortnite.
Now, it would be just such an easy answer to say Lego Magic the Gathering, but that's lazy. That's a lazy answer.
We don't do lazy answers here on Debate This.
Now, another beloved property that Warner Brothers owns, as I bring up the Warner Brothers wiki, is a franchise that also allows you to do everything and everything, whatever you want is there at the. All it takes is the flick of a pen, a digital pen, and that's of course Scribblenauts. Oh. So we're gonna do Scribblenauts Magic the Gathering. And basically, it's just Magic the Gathering Arena, but instead of playing Magic the Gathering Arena, you have to type in words that pull in the
and they make
thing.
Cards for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys played Scribblenauts?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, that's
cute.
it. Like,
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you type in whatever you want for your character, and they like shows up on the screen.
Yeah, it's cute.
Did they ever solve the problem that like you can type in gun and it clears 98% of the puzzles in the game?
No.
I don't know the answer to that one. I just know the one time I played, I typed in Batman and a Batman was dropped in, and I was like, and now it makes sense to know that Scribblenauts is a WB property.
Yep.
Yeah,
sure.
If you had typed in Iron Man, it wouldn't have worked.
Wouldn't have worked.
I'd have been like, we don't know that
it would have been a man made of iron.
Yep. Todd.
Yeah, this is pretty simple. I didn't pick Legos, so
it's not Lego Spore.
Everything I said stands for what I've described largely, but instead of through stages of evolution, it's going to be generations of human lives, and it's the Terminator franchise.
Oh,
so you play the good Terminator, and each time jump is a new bad Terminator you have to deal with while you're fighting off the bad Terminators to defend whatever family line the O'Connor,
the Connors,
whatever.
The Connors,
the Connors.
Sarah Connor.
The remake of the one, the show The Connors. The Connors.
Matt, leave in that pause, but double it.
But double it.
Definitely.
It's the you're defending the family of Roseanne's series she was cut out of. That's the joke I was getting to.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
You know what? You got me
Yeah,
there.
that's the
Yeah,
comics.
that
You
was
get it.
pretty good.
I like
Okay.
it. I like
Yeah,
it.
so every time jump, new family member, you're defeating, you're saving, whatever. You're still playing a Terminator, but the bad Terminators keep evolving against your most used strategies to defeat them. And with each interaction, there's a chance to fracture off a Terminator from the evil hive mind that works alongside of you to cover your weaknesses. Hey, how clear is it that I've never seen a full Terminator movie in one sitting? Is it obvious yet?
It's
Is it clear?
So clear. Crystal.
It's
clear.
cool. Crystal.
Just making sure. Yeah, Terminator. Terminator would be fun because I'm pretty sure there are Terminator games that are not good.
Todd, outside of the bit, you should watch Terminator and Terminator 2. They're like
Yeah.
I get it.
two of the legitimately best movies made, but
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, it's at this point it feels like it's kind of like Lord of the Rings 2. I went a long time without seeing it all in one sitting. And then when I did watch it in one sitting, I was like, yeah, this is the movie that I thought it was.
Why did you do that?
I bet
I don't have a good answer.
I bet
Okay.
you'll
Fair.
have a different experience if you watch Terminator 1 and 2. They're they're
I think you're right.
great movies. Like I don't
Half the people on the call disagree, but
I
that's
don't
okay.
throw great around in front of movies often, and these are two I will like go to the mat for.
Something cursed. The only Terminator movie I've seen is the third one.
The third one
What is wrong with you people?
Like I said, half the podcast, which I said in a joke, now stands.
Matt, we can stand on this side of the argument knowing we're right until
Yeah.
they
I mean,
watch
I'm
that
not
movie.
saying that I'm wrong. I'm not saying that you're wrong.
I'm happy to be on this side with you, Kyle.
Yeah, I am too, Matt. This is a good side to be on. Guys, we're gonna pick one of these, and we need closing statements in order to do that. So give me a closing statement. If it's like a slogan for the game, that'd be awesome. But just a closing statement is fine. Matt.
Yeah. Kyle, out of the bits aside, no bits today. This might be one of the best things I've ever said on this stupid podcast. I love this idea. I think this is as somebody who sunk literally days into hanging out with my buddies and playing Grand Theft Auto Vice City until we got enough stars to get wasted or get arrested. Like, I think this adds so much more to the gameplay loop and the single player capabilities of Grand Theft Auto, a game that hasn't had a sequel in 12 years. I think it would be awesome. It would be a Grand Theft Auto, a good time, pain in my ass, where good time and my aren't part of the acronym. GTA, good time, pain in my ass.
Good. Andrew.
Yeah, Kyle, with the archenemy system, we are going to make Arena a game again.
Todd.
I'm so glad we're talking about the Nemesis system. Just to start, the Nemesis system is rad. I'm glad we got to talk about it. That said, Spore was a decent game. And with Spore Revolution, it can just be so much better that we would enhance it to have this evolutionary challenge while also allowing it to be used to build better alliances and not oppress a specific kind of species over a millennium, like has been articulated here in this podcast. And it just sounds great. It's a good game.
Good. Great. All right, guys, the execs, Griffs and Loopholes. Griffs and Loopholes is they're talking about this. They're figuring out which one of these we can use.
Sick. Tell them we said what up.
Yeah, great. I will.
They seem cool.
They're so cool, guys. If you haven't hung out with Griffs and Loopholes
Yeah.
yet, highly recommend.
The guys
Great
in
party.
charge are a bunch of 19-year-olds named Fart Sniffer and Big Nose.
Yeah.
We're gonna do so. While they're out, let's do some good vibes. And I want to kick this good vibes off and say, I'm so glad we finally did this. I love when we do an episode and we're all like, hey, I think I actually made something cool and not a dumb joke.
Yeah.
And I kind of knew the Nemesis system would skew us that way because this is such a cool idea, and I'm so mad that WB has kept it on a shelf for 10 years because they're bad at
They're bad.
They're bad.
They're bad.
They're just bad. They're bad. Yeah, that's my good vibes. Thank you for a good episode. Rest of you, good vibes each other.
Yeah, I love episodes where we all come with something that we're really into. It doesn't happen all that often, and it's really fun when it does. I was so ready to be like, oh no, Nemesis System, it's whatever. And the more that I read about it or like watched videos about it, the more I was like, holy shit, it sucks that this isn't a vault behind a patent. I really like this.
Imagine if WB had a Batman game where a thug you take out early on.
Yeah.
Apparently, it was rumored to be part of Arkham Knights, and then that game tanked. And so
Yeah.
I had heard at one point it was going to be tied to like a Wonder Woman game.
what I read today was that they were talking about putting it in a Batman game and talking about putting it in a Harry Potter game. And I don't
Guys,
know that either of those happen.
we don't have time to talk about all the great games WB thought about making and didn't.
And then
So anyway, I really like this. Andrew, I like the GTA Nemesis system in MTG Arena. Do I think it's pandering for you to bring MTG Arena on an episode that Kyle is guesting? Yes, but that's fair play, and I don't hold that against you.
thank you.
Todd, I also didn't play Spore in 2008, but I remember the dialogue around it, and much like Grand Theft Auto, I think it'd be a fun thing to put this system into. You know, honestly, much like probably 24 different game series, I think you could put this into, and it would be really cool. So good job all around today. Kyle, good prompt. We appreciate a good prompt in these parts.
What I really enjoyed about all three of what we all did collectively was we basically gave people who play video games consequences, like for their actions. Like,
Yeah.
all three of these games are punishing people for doing the same thing over and over again in different ways, right? Like, and so like what I like about the GTA one, Matt, is I mean the story component is really compelling in those games that don't. I mean, you're right. Like, yeah, they all have a story, but like it's more like episode. Like your main character doesn't have a plot. Like it's like
Yeah.
you're kind of a camera into the episodic developments of other side characters, right? But like it kind of gives your character like an actual plot, which is cool. And then again, I keep coming back to the like it's the Mad Men meme of like, I don't even think about you. You know, Todd, you've made a way to gamify the complete subjugation of an entire species, which is really fun. Not just being the oppressor and not just being, you know, kind of like, I would say, running the playbook of world history, but then having to pay for those crimes, which again, like, if you're going to min-max a game like that, it is cheaper. Capitalism tells us it's cheaper to exploit the lower class, but the oppressed will rise up and you will pay for your actions. And that's what I think is most important today. Is the takeaway is don't oppress smaller phallic or alien species, because they will come back and whatever their version of the space guillotine is, they will chop your heads off with a space
Apes
guillotine.
together strong is always the lesson.
Yep.
This is not good vibes yet, but there's like the Hope corner of TikTok right now where it's someone's quote showing up word by word by word.
Over
and
that
I want
same...
that for what you just said. Yeah. Matt, Andrew said a lot of the things I was going to say. So GTA, I played GTA 1. Like, I've loved GTA for a long time, even though I didn't play any of the new ones because it's just not my speed. But he's right that, like, your character is almost always, yeah, you have story, but, like, other people's stories are what's deciding everything happening around you. And there is something so fun about lingering long-term consequences that isn't just the story mission. That, like, there's this person on the periphery of what you're doing whose car you stole because you needed a car. And because of that, the butterfly has flapped its wings into an arms race that will end up with some dude shooting your helicopter out of the sky with a rocket launcher because his uncle is an arms dealer and you took his Porsche. And I think that, like, that's super fun because by the time those repercussions would really come in, it'd be like, yeah, you took my car. You'd be like, the fuck I took your car? I took so many cars. Which one was that?
Right. Yeah, because you would have stolen 36 cars since that point.
Every gameplay starts with take car.
The day cousin took your car was the worst day of your life. For me, it was a Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Andrew, I think you should probably talk to someone about what you're doing to yourself with Magic the Gathering Arena.
You could probably just end the sentence there.
Yeah. That said, and I can't empathize with what you've specifically experienced. I can empathize with the like, oh, here's that card and that ruins everything. No one's gonna like that. So I do love that you get bullied too many times by Boros Fast Mouse. Then Boros Fast Mouse gets shot out of the sky, which is really fun because the long term is that corrects the meta, right? It is its own system of self-banning where if the algorithm's running and it's whatever Up the Beanstalk does, because God help me, I couldn't know that after that,
draws
I don't care.
all the cards. Yeah.
Oh,
draws
great.
all the cards.
Perfect. Love that. That if 95% of winning games have Up the Beanstalk played within the last turn, then someone should get a Destroy Up the Beanstalk card, and that's how you solve that problem. No one plays that card anymore, and I think that specifically is fun. A Nemesis system that makes you the Nemesis because you get the benefit and you get to ruin someone else's fun because they shouldn't be winning that way. Love that.
Yeah.
Great. Grifts and Loopholes has come back in. They've made their decision. Here's what they've let me know. So first of all, Todd, we're gonna pass on Spore Revolutions. Grifts and Loopholes didn't give a lot of details, but they said something along the lines of like it would be releasing a sequel to Daikatana also in the year 2025.
Wow.
And it just didn't go over well.
Grifts and Loopholes are pretty cultured people.
Yeah,
They're
man.
so cool,
played.
guys. I told
millions
you.
of years from now, when I evolve to overcome Grifts and Loopholes, what they're good at, we'll see. They'll rue the day.
They will rue the day they shot your game down. Yeah, I believe you, Todd. I can't wait to see it. That takes us to Andrew. Andrew, they're also we couldn't get WotC to go along with putting Archenemy into Arena, and there's two reasons why. First of all, putting any new features into Arena would require work on their part. They're just not gonna do that.
Non-starter.
Non-starter there. They also said something about having players like the person we described. I think they're talking about you. Having players get mad like that is actually one of the paths to getting them to spend more money on the game. And they're not gonna close that
I hate how right you are.
to separating you from your money. So Matt, that makes you our winner today.
Woo!
With
2 in a row
with GTA Ass. Is that the name we landed on?
I don't know that we landed on a name. It's GTA 6, and there will probably be 15 to 17 subtitles in the 25-year lifespan of that game.
Sure. GTA is like the perfect game to put a Nemesis system into. I want to play all your games, but I want to play GTA where the first guy you commit crime against sticks with you and becomes like a better lawyer or a better arms dealer or whatever, simply because you exist and they hate you. It's awesome. It's very GTA, and that makes you our winner today, Matt.
Hey, thank you. I'm just happy to be included.
Included you are. That's going to do it for us today, listeners. Thank you for tuning in to Debate This. You can follow along with the arguments on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. None of those. Those are all things we don't use anymore.
Nope.
Instagram, YouTube, Patreon. We decided on this.
Well, we need to update our template then, Matt. You can follow along with the arguments on Instagram, YouTube, and Patreon at Debate This Cast, or on our website at debatethiscast.com. Matt, you can leave in or take out as much or as little of that as you want. Have you ever come to the end of an episode like this one today and found yourself wondering, man, I really like listening to Debate This. 3 out of the 4 Tuesdays each month, it's so great hearing the guys from Debate This debate something. Well, I have great news for you, listeners. We can add a 4th Tuesday to your listening schedule. It's called the Debate This Premium feed. You just need to go to patreon.com/debatethis now and subscribe. For the low, low price of $5 a month, you will get all the current and past episodes of our exclusive Patreon show, Deconstructed, a Disney Channel original movie watch-along podcast, where we just talked about Can of Worms. Can of Worms, the freakiest, weirdest, grossest Disney Channel original movie, I think, in their lineup. We talked about it, just came out on the premium feed as of releasing this episode.
Yeah,
as of last week
when this comes out.
75% cheaper than your standard issue battle pass. We don't require grinding. You can just give us your money and listen to more stuff. Isn't that awesome? So until next time, I've been your host, Kyle Harper.
I'm Matt. Before today, I thought the Nemesis System was named after a character in Resident Evil. Cole.
I'm Andrew, monstrous nerd rage Henderson.
And I'm Todd. You only theft once. That's the motto. Thomas.
We're saying thanks for debating with us. And if you think we're wrong, you can come fight us behind the swing sets, nerds.